Two brand new LEGO Castle factions recently came out, so today I'm going to be showing you some cool ideas to customize the new knights. Starting first with an Elven-inspired warrior. For the torso, we'll be using a Red Falcon one that came out back in 2022. And the legs are of course from the new Griffin Knights. It's a really simple combo no doubt, but I think it looks lovely here. To that, we can add a cape, a satchel, and of course the elf's head. With the satchel attached, we can also slip this sword onto her back, which just gives the character a super unique look that I love. And then for her final accessory, she'll get a simple lantern. This satchel technique is an all-time favorite of mine, and this sword from the new Lord of the Rings sets works perfectly here, as it's a bit smaller than the regular LEGO longsword. The dark and red cloak also adds to the adventurer vibe that I was going for with this character, and her lantern and bag also help sell the idea. I was surprised by just how well this torso worked with the new legs, as the scale print almost blends in with the chainmail when viewed from a normal distance. In a previous video, I talked about combining my Red Falcons and Griffin Knights, and I think this fig is a really great proof of concept for what I'm going to do in the future. Anyways, next we're going to build a Griffin Crossbowmen. These gold and red legs from an old CMF should make for a great combo with the new torso. The belt on the torso gives us a nice transition into the legs, and honestly I feel like these legs are a fantastic match for stretching out your Griffin Knight armies. The legs are not all that expensive to buy on Bricklink, and I'll probably be picking up some more of them to make more Griffin Crossbowmen in the future. He is a very simple looking figure, but that's kind of exactly what you want for some parts of your army. The Griffins feel like they would have a lot of crossbowmen to me for some reason, instead of archers, so when their parts eventually get added to Pick-a-Brick, I will definitely be making some more of these guys. And for our next Griffin, we're going to make a Spearman. This time we'll use the front of the Red Falcon torso with the new legs, and on top we'll place another red cape and a nasal helm. I was aiming for this Spearman to feel a bit like a royal guard, so the cape was a must I think, and it fits in super well with the cape print on the front of the torso. I thought about going with a different helmet, but this one just looked the best for a guard type character. The open face of the helmet makes the guard feel more expressive and personable, and I think it just suited the fig in my opinion. Now for our next Griffin, I want to make a more classic, heavily armored knight character. Starting with the new torso and legs as the base, we can add on a bunch of armor, and of course, another cape. I'm not exactly inventing anything new here, but I think this figure looks awesome, and they fit in with all of my other factions' heavy knights. This is pretty much how I make all of my knight characters nowadays, and I think the formula just works. Finally, for our last Griffin, I decided to make them a king. To do this, I just added a Griffin shield to this dark red torso from the D&D series. I think he turned out looking really cool, and this fur collar was added to kind of invoke a Griffin's nest. That might sound kind of dumb, but I think it works, at least for me. He has a very regal vibe to him, but also looks like he could throw down on the battlefield if he really needed to. And for only having two Griffin Knights, I think we came up with a pretty solid looking party of figs here. Now, I've said it before, but I am the most excited about this faction out of all four of the new ones coming in 2025. They are just really fun to customize, and their sigil is one of the best in the whole castle theme. I don't know if that's a hot take, but I love these guys. But now it's time to start making our Kraken Knight army. For our first Viking, we have the new torso and legs, but I've added these dual molded arms and a special prosthetic hand. The tattoo and metal arm just look perfect for this kind of Viking pirate faction. On top of that, we'll add a darker green cape and a quiver to hold it in place. The cape is actually from the Druid Halfling CMF, but I've folded it in half to make it more of a shoulder cape. And I've also given this guy a proper fantasy Viking helmet with some horns pointing downwards. Now obviously this guy being one-handed isn't going to have much use for a quiver, but I needed something to hold the cape in place on his back. And the quiver also adds a nice little pop of brown to the figure, which I think worked pretty nicely here. Again, that tattooed arm with the metal hand just screams Kraken Knights to me. It looks so perfect. They already had the whole pirate Viking mix going on, so it just made sense. I had to do it. I adore how this guy ended up looking, and I kind of imagine him as being the pirate captain of a ship. Now for our next Kraken, I decided to continue with the prosthetic limb idea. So this one has a normal torso and a metallic peg leg. All I did here was add a prosthetic to the new legs. It's pretty simple. And we've also given them a custom printed Viking helmet from Cult Bricks. After doing the fantasy Viking helmet, I wanted to make at least one of our Kraken Knights use the more modern historical Viking mold. And this silver printed one just looked great on them. The brown helmets that came in the original set are okay, but I think the dark metallic color just looks so much better. Also, you might have noticed that I threw in a custom printed round shield also by Cultbricks. It was another obvious choice for the Krakens, but I had to do it, as I can't imagine all of the Krakens would carry the exact same round shield on all of their raids. This fig is basically the blueprint for the standard Kraken Soldier that I'll be army building here in a few months from now. And for our next fig, I'm going to be making another Captain type figure. Starting first with a gorgeous chainmail torso that I added some dark green arms to. And to go along with that, I also grabbed these dark green and metallic legs that will make for a killer combo. To make him look even tougher, I also gave him a scarred face print and some spiky shoulder armor. It matches great with the Fantasy Viking helmet and gives this guy a menacing presence that suits the Kraken so well. You'll notice that he's also got a giant Dane axe and of course a Kraken shield. It's such a shame that the Kraken sigil is misaligned on their shields because it looks a tad bit goofy, to be honest with you. I really don't know why LEGO decided to print it like this, it looks weird. But ignoring the shield, I just love how the dark green color complements all of the dark metallic armor on this guy. I mentioned in a recent video that I was a little bit worried that I wouldn't like the Krakens in person, but honestly, after customizing them a bunch, I've fallen in love with these guys. They take super well to whatever parts you throw at them, and it's given me a ton of inspiration to build a boat mock for these guys coming pretty soon. But for now, we've got to make our last Kraken Soldier. Starting with a base of more chainmail armor and dark green arms, I've also added on these beautifully printed metallic legs that really suit the aesthetic we're going for. To that, I also gave them a backpack that has a dark green bedroll on the top. And finally, he's got one of those super old helmets from the classic era of LEGO Castle. A ton of us in the LEGO Castle community absolutely adore this helmet design, and we wish LEGO would bring it back in some form with modern colors. As you might have noticed, this one is in old dark gray, which kind of sticks out to be honest with you, but I love how it looks either way. There is no modern equivalent for this helmet, and if I had one wish for the next LEGO Castle set, it would probably be a remake of this helmet. It seriously looks so good on basic soldiers like this guy, and I just can't imagine how good a new version could look. I am really happy with how this fig turned out, even though I kind of did stray away from the Viking style of the other Krakens, but maybe this guy is like a castle guard rather than a raider. I don't know. Overall, I am a huge fan of how these Krakens turned out looking, especially because I was pretty cynical about them before making this video. Dark green and teal is a beautiful color combo, and I am super excited to build some mocks for these guys in the near future. Easily one of the most unique faction designs in the whole history of LEGO Castle. If you've got any ideas on how to improve the figs in this video, or any other techniques you thought of, please let me know in the comments below. I really hope you all enjoyed this video, as I had a ton of fun making it, and if you did, why not subscribe? I've got a lot more fun projects coming pretty soon here. And, as always, thank you so much for watching.